Welcome to the Fearless Queens podcast for anyone looking to expand in abundance, success, and love every single day.
We are your hosts, Tina
And Sara.
Two women on a mission to heal the world one person at a time. Hello and welcome. This episode I'm super excited about because this has been a long, painful, loving, awesome, scary, exciting journey. And today's going to be a little different. We're going to do a little Q&A sesh. And Sara is going to ask me questions. Maybe I'll ask her some questions too. But this is a topic very near and dear to my heart, and I believe it affects a lot of people. But I also believe it can help a lot of people. So I hope that you find value in this. I hope that you learn. I hope that you feel more connected to your truth and your calling through this discussion.
Yeah, so we're in October, and this month, for anybody who has been in recovery, going through it, it's known as Sober October. And, Tina is recovering from her own journey, and that's what we're going to dive into. And I am following her lead and, doing the same thing, Sober October. If you want to jump in and join us, great. We are just going to drink the water and all the ketones we can this freaking month and for the rest of our lives because we're sick of drinking the poison.
Absolutely. And one thing I like to change just the wording on, and again, it's only wording, but I don't feel I'm in recovery anymore personally. I feel like I'm recovered. And the reason why I say that is because I can only help the person I once was grow into something better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, say that again.
I can only help, not only, but I'm best qualified to help the person I once was. So I feel like until I got to the point where I was truly recovered, where I can have a drink in front of me, I can go to a bar, I can be around people and not have it affect my body anymore. I mean, it was to the point where it was affecting my body. It was affecting the smells. It was affecting me on so many levels. I like to say I'm recovered versus recovering, if that makes sense.
Yes, and I'm so grateful that you're here and you are recovered. So let's dive in. What made you need to be recovered?
Well, most importantly, honestly, was my son. I saw I was going on the same track that a lot of people in my life were going on. And to me, I describe it as sleepwalking. We wake up every day and we think about when are we going to get the next drink? What time? How early is too early? When can we have it? How drunk can I get before my son realizes I'm drunk? Thank the Lord above that he was a little too young to really understand the impact it was making on my life. Though him and I, he's going to be 12 actually this month. Though him and I have discussions about it, and he definitely was aware that I like to drink wine or vodka or whatever it was. So for me, the biggest reason was I wanted to change the generational pattern that I lived in.
I love that. One of my own mantras in life is it ran in my family until it ran into me. And I think that's a huge reason of why we're doing this, because we're changing the patterns of what we've come from. And you're doing it. I'm so proud of you, girlfriend. And I have my two parents. I mean, I come from a family of addiction and alcoholism. I mean, I grew up in that environment. That is why I say what I say. It ran in my family until it ran into me, because I don't want that pattern to continue. If I have my own children or not, I don't want to be that for me. So thank you for being a light for me and now anybody who's going to hear this, because I know I have friends and family that still deeply struggle, that have children and that want to change but don't know how to get out of their own way. It's self-sabotaging. They're beautiful human beings. They know that they can change and do better, but it's their headspace.
Lack of worth.
They feel that they cannot. So how did you overcome that?
Well, let me just say, because I feel like this is worth saying, how amazing that you took what you were witnessing growing up and you decided to be the opposite. For a moment, I decided there's no other way. Everyone in the world drinks. I can't possibly not drink, because literally in my old world, all I knew were people that drank. Friends, family, parties, whatever we did, it was always drinking was involved. But anyway, so I think I just want to give you accolades that you chose the different path.
Yes, thank you.
And so it's cool to see, for me, it's cool to see hey, I chose to suffer in it. And I know through my suffering I've healed, but you chose a different path. And let me ask you this. You choosing the non-drinking path, how do you feel like that affected you with your relationship with your parents or friends?
I'm definitely different. I mean, because I don't drink and do the norm things that people in their 20s do, like, oh, let's go out to bars after work on Friday night or Saturday. Like, I don't get invited many places out, which is totally fine because that's just not my place of scene anymore. Like, it definitely was. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I was doing the underage drinking. I was doing the sneaking into bars, doing the whole 21, 22 thing. But then I was a puker. I'm not even going to lie. I literally, every time I drank, my mom would be like, oh, you're driving the white bus again, aren't you? Like, head to the toilet. Here I am for the rest of time. Like, I just would always get so sick. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm drinking, which I just worked out. So I'm drinking these calories. Like, it's not healthy. And then it was like, and I don't feel good the next day. So, like, why am I drinking to feel like utter, excuse my French, but shit? Like, I'm literally drinking to feel like shit the next day, and then I'm out of commission for another day after? Like, it just wasn't making sense to me. Like I said, I've watched it destroy both of my parents. I essentially, like, it changes people, the people that I've loved. Like, when drinking becomes too much, it changes how people show up, and it's not actually them anymore. It's the alcohol spirits. I mean, they don't call it spirits in the store when they sell you alcohol for no reason. Like, there's always a reason for everything. Like, your own spirit is living and dwelling within you, but then when you're drinking to shut out the noise of who you truly are and just involving those spirits, the alcohol spirits to come within, like, you're just subsiding your own self, and it changed people in all the negative ways.
Well, and what's crazy is I just learned this weekend, it's actually biblical that it bites like a serpent, and it creates you like, it bites like a serpent, and perverse things come into your mind. And I was like, whoa, I knew it was, but I didn't know it was. And it's like verbatim exactly how it felt being around people who would drink. And, when I quit, I chose to quit by myself. Everyone around me, literally everyone, this is not an exaggeration, everyone around me was drinking. And I chose to quit.
Why did you choose to quit? You said your son, but like, was he the only reason? Because I know there's so many people listening that have children and they're like, I love my kids, but I can't stop drinking.
Okay. All right. I'll share my story. So I had, and this again is another podcast in and of itself, but June of 2019, I lost my brother very tragically, very quick, in a horrible, I'll share that on another podcast. I'm not going to get too deep in that. So I obviously went into a deep, dark hole, drinking, getting drunk all the time. Like, it was probably the worst. Luckily, my son was with his father in Germany at that point. But I was bad. I mean, it was like, basically, how can I not know my name? Like, it was really bad. So then October, I was part of a company that I was thriving in before I'd lost my brother. I was thriving, and I didn't do anything from June until October, nothing. And one of the people in the community that I'm still a part of, I will forever be a part of because of the community, called me up and was like, hey, we're having an event. It's called Hacking Better. I want you to come. I'm like, yeah, okay, no, thanks though. Bye. Like, right. And he didn't give up. And he kept asking me, and him and his wife were very adamant about like me coming to this event. And I'm like, he's like, and Miss Frugal me back then, like, didn't want to spend any money on myself growing. He was like, all right, I will buy your ticket if you show up. I was like, oh, okay, it's free. Why wouldn't I go? Duh. And so they came and picked me up on their way to Louisville. And I went to the event, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, expecting to not get anything out of it, right? Like, when can I get my next drink? Like, when can we drink, right? And we saw this guy get up on stage. His name was David Goggins. If you don't know him, you should. He's incredible. He's accomplished a lot in his life. And he gets up, and he lived a crappy life. I thought I lived a crappy life. Probably he lived a crappier life than me. Like, not that it's a comparison thing, but like, just to look at someone like him who had gone through the challenges that he's gone through and where he is now was like, maybe I can be more. Like, it was like a little twinkle, like maybe I can be more. And he gets up on stage and he starts talking, and he goes, He tells a beautiful story. I'm not going to tell it like he does. You can get his book. It's Can't Hurt Me Now, and he'll tell it much better. But what he said was, I don't want to get to the end of the road. I don't want to walk up through the gates, meet my maker, and he looks at me and he says, I gave you all of this. I gave you so much, and you chose not to honor it. And it was in that moment I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't die. Like, I literally said that. Like, yeah, my brother died, but I didn't. And it was in that moment where I was like, I have work to do. I have things that have been laid before me to accomplish. And it was, I came home in October at whatever date. We went to Italy shortly after that.
So like a year ago.
October 2019.
Oh, okay.
October 2019. I became sober fully sober July of 2020. Okay. But October 2019, went to wine country, and I didn't want wine. Like, we were in Italy and I didn't want wine. I was like, okay, there's something going on. Like, something happened at this event, and then going to Italy, not wanting to drink wine. Like, I was almost like turned away, like just disgusted by it. I'm like, there's something working. And so then progressively I would try to quit, and then I drink, and then I try to quit, and then I drink. And it was like, when everyone around you is drinking, I'm like, what do I do? What do I possibly do when I don't know how to start a life alcohol free? So, but it was like a burning in my heart, a burning in my soul, burning in every part of me. I want to quit. I really, really do. I really, really do. And then it was finally July of 2020. I was like, barely at this point, I wasn't really drinking much. I'd gone to like seltzers. So I went from like straight whiskey to seltzers. So,
but even then, like, I know people who only drink seltzers and they can't stop. It doesn't matter what drink of choice you're drinking.
Yes.
Beer, seltzers, whiskey, vodka straight. I don't care what it is. Like, it's hard.
Yes.
It's hard to stop.
Yes. And I thought I could I could just have a seltzer.
Yeah.
I could just have a couple. No. You'll always get drunk. Like, if you have like that in you, you'll always get drunk. So I knew in my heart and in my body that I needed to quit fully. I just would look at people and be like, wow, how did they do that? How did they go out? How? And what I realized was that I didn't feel worthy of a life where I'm not sleepwalking. Because to me, sleepwalking was way easier, in quotations here. No, it wasn't. It's not. Being drunk all the time is way worse and way harder. And so then July, I remember I sat there and I was like, I don't know how to quit. I know how to quit, right? Like, don't put the freaking drink to your lips. Seems really simple, but when you're addicted to it, it's not that simple. It's not. And so finally, I literally, and I'd never done this before. This was not way before, but before I started my journey through being saved. It was before that. I remember being like, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to need your help. And I'd never asked him for help with anything. Through anything that I've gone through, I'm like, I got this. Anyone here and I got this person? That was me. And I remember just throwing up my hands and being like, I can't do it without you. I literally don't have the power. I don't have the strength. I don't have the courage without him.
Him as in
God. Yeah. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Like, it was at that, but I didn't know what I was doing. I just I think he's helpful. I'm not sure though. And so it was shortly, probably a day or two later, I went to make a drink and I got sick within a sip. I got a headache and it was disgusting. Like, he literally, that's what he had to do for me. He had to make it disgusting so that I didn't want to do it. Wow. So to answer, that was not a short of the long, a long of the short. Like, to answer your question, I quit because I knew I was worthy of more. I didn't know how, but I knew I was worthy of more. And so that's initially like why I quit. Like, my pain of sitting in there and being drunk and suffering was worse than like wanting to feel better, if that makes sense. Like, the pain of feeling like crap was worse than the work that I knew I would have to go through to feel better. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You had to go through the pain to get through. But if you sit in this, pain is always going to be in your life. Suffering is the option. So you were sick of suffering is what I'm hearing.
Yes. The pain of suffering was worse than the pain of getting better.
For anybody listening, if you are sick of suffering, like, reach out to Tina. If you have questions or if your parents are addicted or anything like that, like, you reach out to me too. But Tina is living the walk of this path in the journey. I mean, advocating for people who can do this. I mean, what was the first step that you took? Like, okay, I'm not going to buy the drinks anymore. I'm not going to talk to people that drink anymore. Like, what changed? Like, your inner circle had to change, I'm assuming, right?
This is going to be a really long podcast if we go there. I'm going to try my best to not make it super long. But what I will tell you is that I lived in a house with a person who was an alcoholic that never wanted to admit it. We had every alcohol you could imagine in our house, from beer to vodka to whiskey to everything. So no, actually, I personally told this individual I would never buy alcohol again for him. However, I also didn't want to tell him what to do. Never once did I tell him he needed to quit drinking. However, you would think if you love someone and they tell you they're going to make a shift, that they would want to do it with you. However, that did not happen. So I needed to be so strong in my foundation of what I wanted to do for myself and improve that, like, it didn't matter like what, alcohol was bought or purchased. So no, that honestly, that was not it. Oddly enough, I was still surrounded by it, which was really, really hard. And actually, it's July of 2020, I became sober. August 2020, he threw a birthday party for me, and there was drinking. 2 months after I decided to become sober, there was drinking at my birthday party. Like, no, I'm just going to drink my ketones and my iced tea. Like, I'm good over here. And it was like so much mental strength.
So temptation was always there.
Always.
It's not like it just, okay, I'm going to stop drinking and everybody got on your boat and was like,
Nobody.
I'm going to help you through it.
Nobody got on my boat.
You were rowing this boat alone.
Nobody got on my boat. Not like maybe some people from church, but I didn't hang out with them. I didn't know them because they were the non-drinkers of the world. They were the weird ones. Ha ha ha, right? So everyone I was around was drinking. I mean, even my parents. I love my parents to death. My mom, thank God, my mom now, I wouldn't say she's sober, but she drinks maybe once every 3 months. That's huge. However, at the time, she was drinking. Everyone around me was drinking. And so for me, what I did is I decided, well, what could I do instead of drinking? I read books, I worked out, and I drank a lot of ketones because ketones helped with my mood. They helped with my cravings. They helped with my mind. They helped with all the things. And so all I knew to do was to work out, drink ketones, pray. I mean, whatever. So that was all I knew to do. So every single day I'd read, I'd work out, I'd drink ketones, and I'd pray. I read, I work out, I drink ketones, and I pray.
All right, let's break that down. So tell me, what were you reading? Like, what was something that helped you when you were first starting this sober walk?
Personal development.
Okay.
Because personal development is exactly what it says. It's developing a new person, right? Like, and not that I want to be like different. It's not a different person. It's just a new creation. And I had to become a new creation.
You're showing up in the world that I feel you're showing up now of who you always knew you could be. And the bondage you were in was surrounded by alcohol for you. Mm-hmm. Now what are ketones? You keep talking about you were drinking these ketones. What the heck are these ketones?
Honestly, it's the simplest thing you'll ever do in your life. It's a drink you mix up in a cup and it's a powder naturally fermented, which means that as it goes into your body doesn't have to break it down. A lot of times when we take supplements or vitamins or things like that, our body has to work hard to break them down, so it's hard on our system. I needed something that wasn't hard on my system because I already had enough things that were going on that were hard on my system. So it's a drink, you drink, tastes delicious, and it helps with your mood, your energy, your focus, your sleep, your skin, your digestion, anything.
Okay, so it's not like because you talked about how you worked out as well. It has nothing to do with like pre-workout, post-workout kind of thing.
No, you can use it for that,
and it's not an energy drink. Nope. It's essentially vitamins in a cup that help boost you.
It's brain fuel.
Ooh, I like that.
It's brain fuel because here's the thing. The owner of the company that I work for that I was telling you about, the Hacking Better.
What's it called? What's the company called?
Pruvit.
Pruvit.
He actually created the company because his dad fought Alzheimer's the last, half of his life. And another person, one of the doctors in our company, her husband got dementia. And so the passion behind Pruvit is the brain, which if the brain goes, you're done. Like my mission when I started was to not die. When I started drinking ketones, it was, I need these so I don't die. And that's not a dramatization.
No, that's heavy.
I was really, really unhealthy, mentally, physically, spiritually, all the things. And so it's funny because I do talk about them like, and in passing, but the validity of what they have helped me accomplish in my life isn't just the drink. It's also the community. It's also the people. It's also the personal development. A lot of the books that I learned about, that I read now, that I have read, that I read during my sobriety, are personal development. I would have never even known that I was worthy of anything had I not had that community of people with me by my side. Those people, granted, they were all in different states. So when you asked who I was around, physically, I was around people who were drinkers. Mentally and spiritually, I was around non-drinkers.
So what I'm hearing is just because you didn't have the support physically around you in your environments that you were with daily, you found outside assistance through books, through online communities of people who were walking the path that you were wanting to be on.
Yes. Two of my mentors, Josh and Dre, were, well, let me say Dre, Andrea, and Dagmar. I didn't realize they were on their own sober journey, but I had only just met them. And I didn't realize like God brought them into my life to show me women who can become sober and accomplish things and still be loved. And so I didn't even realize they were an example for me. And so that was the cool part about it. Like at the time I was so oblivious because I was so concerned about myself, but I didn't realize like they were actually my, they had gone before me. They had put their hand on the hot stove and they were there to show me and teach me like, hey, there are sober people in the world. There are people who are awesome and they don't drink.
Wow, I love that. I heard this quote that I think resonates with what we're talking about, and it goes, we live our lives forward, but we understand it backward. So thank God that those people showed up in your life while you were trying to move forward so you could learn what they had done previously in their behind journey. And that's what we're doing at this podcast. You are ahead of the game. Like now you are on your sober walk and you are helping people who maybe want to jump on the sober train and change and stop living in the suffering and realize that their pain and suffering can be broken through inner will.
Well, and it's interesting because I remember when I had tried to quit before, I tried with one of my girlfriends and I love her to pieces. But at the time we quit together and then she sort of like disappeared. Not from a place of like, I'm disappearing, but she was on her own journey. And I didn't realize that at the time. So I'm like, well, if she's not going to reach out to me, then I'm just not going to, whatever. What I think I realized at the time was her husband actually decided to quit along with her. Mine did not. So I think knowing what and she never told this to me, but like knowing what I know now, I think that there was no way she could be around an alcoholic. Let's call a spade a spade. He was an alcoholic. He is an alcoholic. There was no way she could be around that. Now I get it. At the time when she first started. And so when I decide, this is where I'm getting to at that point, when I decided to become sober, it was my decision for me, not for my son. Like you said, I love him to pieces, but initially it had to be for me because he's going to grow up, he's going to go to college, he's going to get married, he's going to have kids, and then what? I can't do it for him. I have to do it for myself. And when I chose to do it for myself, I chose anything that came my way, any barrier, any stronghold that was wrapped around me. Like I had to break through those, like me.
Let me ask you this question. Did you really do it alone? Or was there something there that you knew that you weren't always alone? Like somebody was always by your side, even if you didn't physically see them, like maybe somebody who doesn't know what I'm talking about or what you're going to get at.
So it's funny you say that because yes, there was always someone by my side, though at the start I didn't realize it. My girlfriend, who's now on her own sober journey, which is just to me so powerful because I never thought she would quit. I never in a million years thought she would quit. I knew she drank more than she did, but she never admitted it to me. Probably because she felt unworthy, even though I never judged her. I could always be around her. I loved her to pieces. But now she's on her walk. And I said something to her the other day. She said to me, I don't think I have anxiety. I think it was always the alcohol. I feel so calm now. And this woman, pill after doctor, after this, after that. And she said that to me and I was like, like I literally took my breath away and I fell to my knees in gratitude. Like no joke, no exaggeration.
Whew, I got the goosebumps.
I know, I'm like dizzy. I can feel it going on in here right now. And so what was more powerful is I said to her, I said, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you decided that. Now make sure you give him gratitude, him being God, Holy Spirit, Father, Jesus. Give him gratitude for how you feel right now. And this is what she said to me. She said, sometimes I feel like he's the only one that I can talk to. And this is not a Christian, religious, churchy person. This is just a person. I mean, she's amazing. She's my best friend in the whole wide world. We've been friends for 25 years. But she does not go to church. She's deathly afraid to walk into the four walls. I get it. And she, at that moment, at her darkest moments, her loneliest moments, because she is now living with, we're most qualified to help the person we once were. She's living with an alcoholic. And she's trying to be a better mom. And she's trying to become sober. And she actually said to me that sometimes God is the only person I have to talk to.
Wow.
So yeah, he was always with me through it all. Through it all. September of 2020, I was baptized in Lake Michigan.
That's beautiful.
2 years ago, sober October. 2 years ago, I was baptized in Lake Michigan.
No coincidences.
No.
Absolutely. There's always a reason for everything, even if we don't know it then.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, obviously, it had to happen in October.
Right? Exactly.
Hey guys, Tina here. I am super excited to share something with you that has been incredibly beneficial to my day. It has helped with so many things for my mood, my energy, my sleep, my skin, my focus, all the things, and it's super clean, which is very, very important to me. If you want more information, I would love to share it with you. Send me a message on my Instagram. My handle is Tina M. Kafka, or there is a link in my bio. I'm super excited. I want to hear from you. I want to build a relationship and help you to create the best life that you want, meant for you. Bye, guys.
Gosh, Tina, thank you so much for sharing your story. How do you continue? How do you continue to not say no to the drinks when they're offered, or if you're in that environment or somebody around you?
How do I continue to say no? Well, I'm a bit sarcastic. So and this is taken a little bit. I used to get very angry at people, like very angry at people when they would like, oh, you're not drinking? Oh, you are drinking? I couldn't say that. Like I would just shut down. Has anyone felt like that? I'm sure. So what I found is that before I go anywhere, I put on the armor of protection, the breastplate of righteousness, whatever it is, that one. Well, whatever. Anyway, so I put on protection. I'm shielded before I go to a place. And it's just a prayer, or it's just putting your hands around your stomach. You taught me this, and just saying, I'm protected, I'm loved, I'm strong. So because the thoughts we think and the words we say are what is going to happen. So that's key, number one. Number two is through having that strength, that armor of strength on me, I know that by working out, moving my body, which looks different every single day. Some days I bike, some days I walk, some days I lift, some days I dance. Working out is working out. It doesn't matter what it is. That increases my cortisol. Cortisol is stress, right? It increases my endorphins, that's the happy stuff. So I know that by working out, I'm setting myself up. If I work out, I'm not the person who's going to be like, oh, I just worked out, now I can have a drink. Oh, I just worked out, now I can have dessert. Like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not going to bless my body and then punish it with food or crap that doesn't serve me. Now, again, I need to be clear. I wasn't always this way. I've built this over the past 2+ years. So that's a big thing. I surround myself with people that I feel good around.
Ooh, that's a good one. Because in my own personal development walk, I have read and learned that you are the 5 people you associate yourself with, meaning that the 5 people you are around daily, weekly, the most people, you are the average of those 5 people.
Yep.
So now that we have said that, how do you feel about yourself? Like, do you really love who you're around? Because that's the average of what you are. Like, if your best friend is XYZ, negative Nancy, you're around somebody who is lying and being deceitful, somebody who's angry all the time, just pish posh, like unhappy, unworthy, like you're gonna feel that.
Yep.
Because that's just the energy that they're bringing to the table. And then reverse that. If you're surrounded by people that are positive and uplifting and are on a journey of finding themselves in the most healing way, I mean, that's just going to come through to you. Like, if you're hanging out with millionaires, like, you're going to be the sixth one in that group. If you are around people who are uplifting and supportive, like, you're that sixth person now because you're just an average of, like, everything that's stirring around you in that pot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to have a collective, group of 5. So maybe you are hanging around with 2-3 people that are like really encouraging, uplifting, wealthy, and wealthy isn't about money. So it's actually about being healthy, happy, and financially abundant is the meaning of wealthy. If you're going to be hanging out with, and then maybe there's someone who maybe doesn't have a lot, but you also, I feel that I also can help people. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help people on our journey. So it's not about everyone being, in quotation marks, better than me, but it's about choosing, like you said, choosing who you're going to surround yourself with. Like I told my girlfriend, Jamie, I love you to pieces and I will be there for you, but I need to know you're making the changes for yourself. I have told like anyone, most people, like if they want to hang out with me, like, or not, it's not like I'm that great. I don't mean if they want to hang out with me, but like if people want to spend time is our most precious commodity. One of the last things I said to my brother, one of the last pictures I sent him, not knowing what would happen, time is our most precious commodity. Use it wisely. My time, your time, her time, his time is very precious. And if you are going to take my time is energy, time is money, time is expensive. You would better believe that I am going to assess your energy level, where you're at, how you treat people, all the things are going to be very important to me. And so when people are like, why aren't you responding? Or why aren't you this? Or I want to hang out with you. There is a reason why I'm ignoring you. Number one, I probably have told you no, but also like there is a reason, like either grow and evolve or stay the same and die. It sounds morbid, but it is true.
Yeah. If you are not moving forward, you are stagnant in wherever you're at. And I don't want to be stagnant in life.
And that's not honoring your good Lord. Like he didn't create you to be stagnant and not growing. Like he created you to be more amazing than you could ever even imagine.
Absolutely. So how do we surround ourselves with 5 good people? Like, Tina, what if I have nobody?
Well, when I quit drinking, I thought I had nobody, right? Because later my husband and I got divorced. Because we got divorced, there are some people at church that didn't want to be friends with us because we were a couple friends. There were people in my business that didn't want to do business anymore with me because we were a couple friends. There were, even to this day, I love the man to pieces, but I'm pretty sure my father and my ex-husband still have a conversation. Someone that you love dearly, like, to me, it's a little bit of a stab, but whatever. I don't hold a grudge at all. Like, I love him to pieces. Like, I'm just going to forgive and release. So, yeah, I had nobody. So how did I prayed. That's literally all I did. Like, pray for the people to come in my life that God wants. Not that I want, not that my flesh wants. The people that God wants to come into my life. And it was baptized, the Indian Dude's Great Banquet. I met the most wonderful group of ladies ever at the banquet. That's obviously how we met. If you listen to our first podcast, if not, you should because it's awesome. And I just kept praying and trial and error. It's like dating. Like you date for girlfriends. Like if you're a girl and you want girlfriends, you date for girlfriends as much as you're a girl, you're dating for boyfriends. And even with guys, like you just get to know people and like, that feels kind of good, or oh no, that doesn't. And one thing I will tell you is that, gosh, I could talk about this forever. One thing I will tell you is that as you grow and evolve, you're going to go into these stages of your life where you meet people and then you're going to be like, ooh, they kind of remind me of my past. And you feel yourself going backwards. Not that I ever went back to drinking, but like I would, maybe go out more or do this more that didn't feel like it was moving forward. It felt like I was staying the same or going backwards. And it wasn't no fault to their own. I didn't look at that person and be like, we can't hang out because you're not going where I'm going. However, I feel that that was like a message like, hey, are you really ready for the next stage? Are you really ready to grow, or are you more comfortable staying back here? And so that happens continuously. That happens continuously. Even in people I meet today, like, oh, they're really awesome, they're fun. Like, now I can pick up on it a lot quicker, I think, I'd like to say. But even people I meet now, it's like, oh, they're from my past. Those are people from my past, not literally from my past, but emotionally and physically from my past. And so listening, like how we talked about in our second podcast, listening to your inner knowing, 12-hour walk will help, and just honoring your space where you're at and feeling into it. What do I love to do? That was a big thing. What do I love to do? Well, it took me a little bit, but I learned that I love that I went on my sober journey. I love that I'm recovered/in recovery. And I only say that because I'm actually I just recently became a part of 320 Recovery, which is a recovery community center. Not AA, not any weird like kumbaya, go around in a circle and talk about your problems. It is uplifting. It is joyful. And maybe I'm not friends with people at the center, but I know I can come to the center and I can bring friends to the center and we can worship, or we can do art, or we can do fitness. So thinking about what you enjoy doing and go be in those environments, even if you're alone, because I will tell you, being around the wrong people is way more lonely than walking alone.
Oh, baby, that was good. Can you say that one more time for me?
Being surrounded by the wrong people will feel empty and lonely more than walking alone. Because number one, you're never alone, right? You have Jesus, but Jesus isn't like in a human form. He's in, you just know he's there. And maybe you don't have him yet. I hope through our journey and us showing and learning our experiences that you choose, to walk beside him too. But that's not from, telling you what to do in any way, shape, or form. It's just what's helped me. So being alone, I would rather be alone with nobody than to be with the wrong people. And that is difficult.
Yeah.
That's difficult, especially in a world like we were just talking. I don't know if you gave this any thought, but we were talking about how most people hang out in groups.
Yeah.
Most people do not hang out one-on-one.
That's crazy because I never thought about it that way. I guess I've always just been that like one-on-one person, and then I just invite everybody and anybody because that's just who I have always been as a human being. Like, oh, I'm hanging out with Tina today. Well, let me invite Heidi. Let me invite Crystal. Let me invite all these people that are in my circle because that's just how I've always been. But to somebody who is like, okay, I've always hung out with X, Y, and Z. Maybe they're not best for me anymore. Mm-hmm. How do you like let go of people that are no longer serving you in that way, but not, maybe hurting their feelings or being like, no, I'm better. Like, because it's not that you're better than them. No. You're just not choosing to walk in that light that you were walking with them anymore. Like, evolving as a person, I know people change and all the things, but sometimes people are just stuck where they're at and you can't bring them to the next stage in your life.
So that's a great question, because that was a big struggle for me, being surrounded by people all the time, being like having, lots of friends. And I had just moved here and I had just built groups of friendships. So I went from like having nobody, moving to a state by myself, essentially, ex-husband and my son, and then having big groups of friends. And now I have to go back to nobody. So what I realize now, and this is something super powerful, I want you to like really, really pay attention to this because it's really hard when you're going through it to really see this. What I now understand is that everything that I have gone through, am going through, and will continue to go through is an inspiration to other people. I needed to take my ego out of the equation and not make this about me having this friend or that friend. I needed to realize that what I was doing was inspiring other people. I let go of my need to have this friend or not have this friend, and just, when I say let it go, essentially let go of control. And that is why a lot of people, I feel, choose to suffer, is because they don't want to let go of control. I let go of control and it hurt. And I remember asking people to hang out, and it was like excuse after excuse after excuse. And through my healing, through personal development, through the company I work for, through the Great Banquet, like all of these things were components that helped me realize I am wonderful just as I am. And the right people will draw to me, and it won't be hard. It won't be hard to be my friend. It won't be hard to be your friend. It'll be freaking light and easy. It was so hard to be a lot of people's friends when I was recovering because it was forced. Everything was forced. And so I just stopped. Oh, this is what I did. I stopped reaching out to them. You know, I'm sure everyone has seen those memes or those TikToks or those reels where it's like, stop reaching out to people and see who responds.
Yeah.
Dude, I still do that to this day. I do that to people. I'm like, I'm going to stop responding if I'm truly ready to let go of them, because maybe they'll go, maybe they won't go. Yeah. But when I'm truly ready to release them, I stop responding, or not responding. Excuse me. I stop reaching out, because if I'm not reaching out to them, are they reaching out to me? I didn't mean responding. I try to always respond to people, but reaching out. I'm not the one being like, hey, you want to hang out? Hey, you want to go do this?
Because a relationship with anybody should be a two-way street.
Yep,
a
absolutely.
Give and take. And sometimes you are doing more of the taking or more of the giving in whatever season you're in. But in the end of it all, it should be, I'm here for you, you're here for me, not I'm always here for you and you're just never available, and vice versa.
Or they're just doing it to be nice. Oh, we've been friends for 12 years, so I just have to respond. Or I have to hang out with her or whatever. No. I don't want anyone to hang out with me because they have to. I don't want anyone to call me because they have to.
Another question because we've talked about prayer, it's like, well, what if somebody's doesn't know who God is, doesn't know who Jesus is, or like, what is prayer?
So real quick, again, another episode, but I was raised Catholic. And I'm recovering. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, religion, when we talk about God and Jesus, I just feel like it needs to be said, we're not talking about any kind of religion. I don't even like using the word religion. It's just, because religion and a relationship with our Creator is completely different than Catholicism, Lutheran, whatever.
Baptist.
Yeah, all of the things.
Those are the people.
Absolutely.
And people are sinners.
Well, everybody.
Right, exactly. So when I was introduced, so January of 2020, once I realized I needed to create a new life. And so my mom found a church, started going, started feeling great, liking it, enjoying it. And I didn't start praying. I didn't open the Bible. And then I became a part of the youth group. So because I was part of the youth group, I was like, well, I suppose I should get to know Jesus a little bit. I can't not know what I'm talking about when I talk to them. And I just kind of winged it. And I'm like, okay, what am I doing? I have no idea. I open my Bible every once in a while on Google. And then September of 2020, I was baptized. And I was like, whew, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think they gave you a free Bible when you got baptized. So then I kind of opened it, but it was didn't make any sense to me. September of 2021, Indiana doing the Great Banquet. And I was given a Bible as a gift. And through the banquet, I was shown kind of how to read it and kind of how to understand it and what to do. So shortly after that, I know you asked about prayer, but I'm getting there. So then I downloaded the YouVersion Bible app. I had the Bible. And in reading the book, it taught me how to pray, if that makes sense.
Yes, total sense.
So I was very intimidated by the book because I didn't understand it. Now I love it because I want to. I want to learn about it. I want to learn about him. I want to hear his words. I want to hear his promises. If you do not believe the Bible is real or factual, open a case for Christ. Go get the book and read it, and it's undeniable. It's undeniable. However, learning about him, I just started talking to him. I just literally started talking to him in my car before I go to sleep at night. Now I understand fervent prayer. Now I understand getting on your knees and praying. Now I understand so much more, but it didn't happen day one. Michael Jordan didn't hit all the basketballs. He didn't get them all in right away. He got better.
He didn't become Michael Jordan when he was born Michael Jordan.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't show up. Tina's not here showing up as sober Tina because she was out of the womb, done, all her problems are gone. Now she's sober. She walked through the pain and wanted to stop suffering.
Yep.
Whew. Whew.
I feel like we could talk about so much more, like why did I start drinking? But I feel like that would be another conversation.
And I feel like people's whys are
All different.
All different. I couldn't tell you why my parents started drinking or why my friends had started drinking and why the relationships I've had, they started drinking and they have stopped because I was growing and they were not. And sometimes when you're moving forward, you can't bring the people that have always been in your life with you.
Yeah, not everyone can come with you.
And
Absolutely.
that's okay.
Yes.
Because if they're meant to come back into your life, it's not going to pass you up.
Nope.
They will come back around in the light that you are now in and then the light that they are now in.
If it's meant for you, it will
Absolutely.
not. It will not pass you by. Yeah, without a doubt, I believe that. I really think that a lot of times we don't know what to do. We don't know. I know for me, I didn't know how to quit. I literally didn't know how. And so I'm just going to like beg and plead almost to you. If there's anything in this that resonates, if there's any part of you that wants to at least try, reach out to me. Reach out to me because I've gone the steps. I've done the things. And I now have a community of people literally trained to help people recover. I have met countless people who have been in the worst of the worst of the worst on the side of the road in a ditch, dying, and now they have come out better people.
Gosh, that resonates with me in so many ways.
And when I say a ditch, it's not a metaphor. An actual ditch, almost dead. So don't feel that you are not worthy. You are worthy of, if it's in your mind, if you've thought of it, if you feel it in your heart, if you feel it in your gut, it means that you believe that you can do this.
And you can. We are here. For me, when I'm not on a sober journey. I mean, I rarely drink. I mean, I'm on the Sober October with Tina because I want to support everybody who's on their own path, and I really can't stand it anyway. So why not? And so for me, I realized in my own, when I was becoming a better version of me, stopping like associating with people who no longer served me, their energy, the way that they spoke. Like, it was a lonely path. And that was just me just trying to become better. I couldn't even imagine like me trying to become a better person along with me having an addiction to something. So kudos to you, girlfriend. You are killing the game and you're doing the work and you are a light to so many people, and she is here to help and serve. And so am I. I mean, I've grown up with alcoholic parents. It has ran in my family, and I'm here to stop it. The end of that, because I want to see a world in a greater, better light. And if I'm not going to do it, who else is going to do it? Like, it starts with you.
Well, and the interesting thing is I do feel that the way this world is shaped currently in 2022 is you should be drunk. You should drink a lot. You should buy alcohol. Why is it that in 2020, that was one of the only places that stayed open, was a place to buy alcohol? I mean, one of the only places. And to me, I do feel that the world, the media, everything has set us up to be drunk so we don't grow, so we don't ask questions, so we don't heal, so we don't create a happier life.
So we continue to let the world burn around us, and we don't care because we're so numb to it. I can't watch our world burn anymore, and I don't want your inner world to burn anymore, because suffering can stop. Pain is required. Suffering is not necessary.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. So I hope that by listening to this, you choose yourself and that you're worth more and you can come out of the suffering.
Absolutely. And if you don't, like, maybe you hear this and maybe you're like thinking of like people that this would be helpful for, that you think like maybe they'll hear it or not want to hear it or whatever it is, like, you are literally deteriorating the inside of your body when you continue to drink. Where you might think you're untouchable, but there's going to be a time 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years down the road when you're going to come up against a situation, and because you spend so many years drinking, you're not going to be able to heal. You're not going to be strong enough. And that, for me, thinking of all the people that I know or people in the past who have suffered because the insides of their body are unhealthy because of this.
I'm so tired of this being the normal. You know, like, let's be the change for it to not be normal. Like, let's be the generation that's like says no to drinking. It just bothers me so much how unhealthy and how it makes people act not who they truly are. Like, I have lost loved ones, the love of my life at one point, because I was changing and he was not.
Yep. Same.
You know, and they're on their own journeys, and I'm praying for restoration with my family, with my mom, with my dad. That's all I can do, because I don't walk their journey. I can't tell them to stop. They have to want to do it for themselves. But if your parents do it, if your husband does it, if your fiance, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, I don't care who it is that's doing it, you know, just pray. That's all you can do. They have to want to do it for themselves. Don't pick it up for them. Like, They have to carry that themselves. You can be a light for them, but you can't change them. They got to want to do the change. They got to want to do the work for themselves. And if it's unhealthy for you to continue, you got to do what's best, and you got to love them from afar.
Yep.
That's what I've been doing.
And have the courage to speak your truth. I remember at one point I was in, shaking tears saying, I physically can't be around the smell of your breath because of alcohol, not like you had bad breath. I can't be around the smell without my body like tensing, because I was still healing. I was going to therapy. I was doing all these things. And in that moment, it was a turning point. Maybe he didn't realize it, but I realized it. It was a turning point when he chose to continue to drink at that point. And I never told him don't. I just said, I can't be around you. So be so firm in your choice, and then of course it escalated from there and just went downhill because there was that big gap. That's a big gap. It's not a small gap that you can like come to terms on. Like, at the time, I couldn't come to terms with it.
So you did what's best for you, and you removed yourself.
Yep.
And you got to love people where they're at from afar. Just because you don't like what they're doing doesn't mean that you don't have to still love them. Like, I urge you to pray for them, because praying for them does not mean that they're going to get all these blessings and the who's and the ahs from Jesus Christ. Like, they will come to a point and like they will have to repent.
Yeah.
They're faced with what they've done.
Yes. And, forgiveness and prayer for them. If you don't forgive them, if you don't pray for them, you are drinking poison that you want them to have.
Yeah, that is what unforgiveness is drinking poison that you want somebody else to have. And that is a discussion in it of itself that we will definitely be getting to. But essentially, Sober October is the month that, if not now, when, people.
Yeah, and we hope that if we impact at least one person, I'm going to go for 1,000, but if we can impact at least one person and you can change your life, all is worth it.
Amen. All right. Thanks so much, Tina, for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
All right. Until next time, everybody. Thank you for listening.